Hi, Revere, and welcome to our Revere Veterans and Community Show. Today we have a veteran of the military. He's a Korean veteran. His name is Ted Marsden, but he's going to be speaking about something that concerns the community of Revere, and that's the store that Market Basket built, plus other things. So, Ted, thank you for coming. Let me welcome you to the city of Revere and to our show. Right. Now, you know the Market Basket pretty good, so give us a little history about it.
Okay. In the late 1920s, Mr. Demoulas and his wife opened their first store on Upper Merrimack and Dummer Street in Lowell. At that time, the city of Lowell was like a pie. It was divided into sections by ethnic groups. Each group had like a section of their pie. Mr. Demoulas opened his store on the corner of the Greek district. And he was very successful, I guess, because he had 4 sons that went into the military. They got out. When they got out of the service, they all wanted to be managers. All chiefs, not workers. So, what the boys did and Mr. Demoulas, they approached Judge Pappas, I forget, George Geopoulos, a produce broker, another Greek friend that owned the Lowell Dairy, and got him to pull some money together, and that's when they started expanding. Little by little, they built stores in Lowell, Lawrence, Haverhill, Methuen, and they got so strong in the Merrimack Valley that they forced A&P, First National, and the Echo stores, which was the beginning of the economy stores, which was the beginning of Stop and Shop, as well as the Stop and Shop stores out of the Merrimack Valley. They had such a lock on it. And also, they had the smartest supermarket chain in New England because they have never, ever given top value stamps, S&H green stamps, double coupons, or a card for your discount purchases. Never ever. They gave the customers the value shopping of discounts. Right now, prior to the stores being in this turmoil and the stores that are still open, they're giving 4% discount. And that was for a whole year. It would expire this November. If and when this turmoil is over and the stores open this November, they will start again the 4% discount. The difference being, instead of Demoulas giving the discount, it will be Demoulas and also all the vendors participating in the discount. And prior to that, they had I believe it was a month-long free, a half price thing in the bakery aisle. Any packaged bakery item not done by their own bakery in store was half price.
Very good, Ted. Now, Ted, I got to ask you this question. Before you came on the show, we talked about one of your relatives who's worked with the Demoulas for almost 55 years, give or take a little. Tell us about that gentleman.
All right. My cousin Bill started with the Demoulas family when they had the one store. He was 14 years old, and he had a three-wheel push cart that he delivered the groceries to the area customers. And he made, strange as it seems, more money in tips than he did for his week's pay. And also, at that time, he helped out on the farm that Mr. Demoulas had on the Drake Pelham line, where he raised his own lamb or sheep that he sold in the market, in the one market.
Is he still with the Demoulas?
Bill is still with the Demoulas. He worked his way up to president, and
Did you say president?
he is not still president. He was,
Oh, he's chief of operations now.
yes, that is the title they gave him, because he is like,
Director of operations, I'm sorry.
right, direct. He is like Johnny Pesky was for the Red Sox. He is more or less their goodwill ambassador. He goes to all the store openings and things. And being as how he was with them for so many years, they let him hang around the office.
I have to ask you, that's pretty good. There are 3 stores, brand new stores. I believe one is in Waltham,
Correct.
one is in South Attleboro,
Yep, correct.
and of course, our own Revere.
Our own in Revere.
None of them are open.
None of them are open. They were all turnkey operations. All they had to do was stock the perishables and turn the key and open. But due to the turmoil, they don't know if it's ever going to happen.
Right, and you said the Revere store was built, but it's not as big as the Chelsea store. Tell us a little about
Right. The Revere store is much smaller than the Chelsea store because it was built to take the overflow from the Chelsea store. The Chelsea store is so large, and it's number one in their chain, the highest in volume. They started with, I believe, 30 registers, and they're up to 35 or 38 now, plus during the peak seasons, holiday seasons or whatever, they can add another 6 to 8 portable registers.
So they must have quite a number of employees. Would you say they have approximately maybe more than 200, or give or take?
Yes, there is a great number of employees in Chelsea. Several.
A substantial amount of
A
employees.
substantial amount.
Including the part-time employees.
Including part-timers.
Right.
In fact, mostly part-timers.
Right. Now, according to this, I got to give where I got some of this information is from Wikipedia. From the internet. They say that the Demoulas is worth between $3 to $3.5 billion. That's actually 3 Mohican casinos coming to Revere when you think of it.
I would say that that's about right, because they have stores that go up as far as Plymouth, New Hampshire, Auburn, Maine, and the South Shore, New Bedford, and South Attleboro is ready to have to open as soon as they get the word.
Yep, and their main headquarters, I believe, is in Tewksbury.
Is in Tewksbury, Mass. Yes.
Right. By the way, you wrote some questions there you'd like to talk about. Feel free to do so. You take your pick.
Okay. For one thing, in Wilmington, Mass, to the Lowell Tewksbury line, they have 3 stores, which is 8 1/3 miles, all on the same road, all doing a great volume. The one in Wilmington Plaza is in its 3rd location in the same plaza. They started in the middle of the original plaza, went to the left-hand corner of the plaza, got so big that they built a whole new plaza in back of the original one. The store was never closed to the public during all these renovations and rebuildings and whatever. And they own 99.5% of their stores. They only lease very few. One is in Haverhill, it doesn't have a bakery, and one is in Rowley that doesn't have a in-store bakery or the prepared foods. But
Ted, I have to ask you this question. I remember when the stores used to be called Demoulas.
correct.
Now they're called Market Basket. Why the change in names, if you can tell us about that?
Okay. Back in,
Oh, you don't have to remember the
I
name.
believe it was in the 60s, they had a Demoulas supermarket on Route 28 in Salem, New Hampshire. There was a Grand Union adjacent to the Kmart on Route 28 in Salem, New Hampshire. Demoulas bought the Grand Union supermarket. They could not have 2 Demoulas supermarkets within a quarter to a half a mile of each other. So that became the first Market Basket. Then one of the brothers was involved in an auto accident and get killed.
Oh.
His widow started the turmoil that's going on because she wanted a percentage of the Market Basket as well as the Demoulas stores. Well, at the time, they decided, no way. There will never, ever be another Demoulas supermarket built. From that day on, every store that was opened was a Market Basket. That was to eliminate her from getting profits or shares or what have you from that, from future stores. That settled down. They started expanding, building more stores, more stores. Now, the next generation decided it's time that we got it. So they stirred up the pot again, and this is the turmoil that they're in now.
And it's still going on, Ted.
And it's still going on.
Ted, talking about the turmoil, can I read something to you that's just taken out of WikiLeaks here?
Sure.
Wikipedia. This is on July 29, 2014. The Boston Globe reported that Arthur T. Demoulas was the only remaining bidder for the 50.5% stake of the company held by the family of Arthur S. Demoulas. All the previous offers by outside parties to the company have been withdrawn, and the board is reportedly furiously negotiating with Arthur T. to solve the situation. Why did they have to go through all that? Because they're losing about $10 million a day, I understand. And if they keep doing this, they'll go into bankruptcy eventually.
Right. This is because they're afraid that Arthur T. is going to open up on his own. He has the backing of the majority of the multiple long-term employees putting in their profit sharing and others to back him to buy the other 50.5%. They're afraid that he is going to grow and just wipe out the rest of them.
So that's
They don't need any of the money. They own golf courses. They own 90.5% of all the shopping centers that they're in. So they're well off financially. This has nothing to do with that. It's just greed on their part. They want more, and they just keep squeezing and squeezing to get the last drop of blood out of Arthur T.
right. And by the way, Demoulas, unlike Stop and Shop, is not a union company.
No.
I mean,
Demoulas has and Market Basket have never, ever been union.
is there any reason for that, if I may ask you?
I don't really know, but I do know that their employees, full-time, mostly, are very, very well taken care of. If they go to college, he assists them. If they were purchasing a home, they were assisted if they wanted, so desired. And it was like one big family.
Right, I have to tell you, I used to go to the Chelsea store, the Market Basket, it's Market Basket now in Chelsea.
Correct.
I couldn't get into that parking lot at 8 o'clock in the morning. At 8 o'clock, when I used to go on a Sunday or Saturday, I would have to park outside and walk almost a half a mile to get into the store. That's how crowded it was. But today, from what I understand, there's hardly anyone there. Until this is resolved. Don't they realize, why couldn't they just get together for arbitration?
They're losing over $1.1 million a day. And the problem with the negotiations is every day there's a new offer put on the board because the value of the company is slowly going down, down, down. So they're not going to get what they wanted in the beginning.
Right.
And the further it goes, the less they're going to get, which is common sense.
I'd just like to change the subject for a few minutes. You are a Korean veteran. You're also a member of the Revere Senior Center. And talking about the Revere Senior Center, how do you enjoy it?
Well, it's a place to make friends, place to go. There's much to do there. And I enjoy calling the bingo. And we're hoping to get a lot more people in there, and they're going to have a flea market. But it's going to be a little tough, I guess, to get the people into the flea market because we lost the air conditioning due to the tornado.
Yep.
It blew off the roof and landed on the van next door, but in half a dozen trees, several which came down and a few landed on the roof. But come and enjoy. There'll be plenty there, and my very dear friend is participating in the bake sale.
Lois Diamond? Who's in charge?
No. Lois is running the flea market.
Right.
My personal friend, Lou Durand, is the one doing some of the baking along with several others.
For the flea market?
For the flea market.
Right. I would like to say to the people out there, as Ted here just mentioned, we don't have air conditioning right now, but we have a lot of fans up there. And you're all welcome to come, but you have to be over 60 years of age, and you must call a day before if you want to come in and order a lunch. And let me tell you, we have some of the best meals for $1.50 in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Not in the city of Revere, but in the whole state of Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You ought to come down and try it with us. Now, Ted, I want to get back. We talked about you as a senior. You're also a terrific Korean veteran, and we do this for every veteran that comes on our show. And we presented with an American flag because that's what you fought for. That's what I fought for. And I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
To begin with, I want to thank you for your service. And I'm part of the Revere.
I appreciate that.
Nick Brewer, who's the director of the Revere Veterans Service, gave me a whole bunch of flags to give out to the veterans. And it's also the Revere Ally Council. And I want to salute you and thank you again, Ted, for your service. And God bless you. So keep going. Now tell us a little about your Korean service, where you were, what you did, and how you liked them.
I was a seagoing mailman. I was in the Coast Guard.
Oh, Coast Guard? Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to not have to go on foreign soil. We took care of all the aids to navigation from the eastern end of the Cape Cod Canal to the mouth of the Merrimack River. Back in the days when I was in, which was a couple of years ago, we were delivering to the lighthouses 100-pound bags of coal, floating over 55-gallon drums of oil, and lowering a small boat to pull hoses over to give them fresh water and to give them gasoline, kerosene, whatever they needed for their lighthouses. In those days, the lighthouses were all manned. And all the aids to navigation, the buoys, were either electric or gas or bells and gongs and whistles. Today, most of those things are all controlled by computers. I don't think there's a manned lighthouse left on the eastern coast now. And most of the 3 lightships have been replaced. There used to be the Nantucket, the Cross Rip, and the Boston light. And also, when they came in for repairs, there was a relief lightship. We had to deliver food and mail and transport the crews for their shore duties, for their shore leaves.
So how many years did you spend at the Coast Guard, if I may ask you?
4 years and 2 months and 3 days.
You forgot about the hours, minutes, and seconds. Let's go. You gave us a good history there.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a World War II veteran. You're a Korean veteran. So you must be in either your very late 60s or in your 70s. Am I close? Am I close when I say you're in the late 60s or 70s?
I would say you would be closer if you said the late 70s.
And the 80s? You're not, well.
When I was in the service?
Yeah.
Oh, I was in the service from 58 to, from 54 to 58.
Right. That's when the Korean War was on.
It was winding down and Vietnam was just starting up.
Yep.
I was considered both, but
that's right. 1950 to 55 was the Korean War, and then the Vietnam War started just right after that.
Correct.
Yep. You know, I got to tell you, you and I have been around for a long time, and I don't remember any year that I could say in my lifetime, even when I was born in 1929, that the world was at peace, because at that time China and Japan were at it, fighting a war amongst themselves, long before the Second World War started. I remember I used to watch on the TV in the early 40s about Nanking, the history of them bombing Nanking, Shanghai. So even today, I mean, we're in 2014 and the world is still crazy, Ted. Ted, we got about 2.5 minutes left. Take a minute and a half to wrap up and say whatever you would love to. Just tell us about your married, your wife, if you have one, or about your kids.
Well, in 1956, I married my wife, Lorraine. We had 5 children, and I was fortunate enough to have her for 56, nearly 57 years. She passed. The boys, the 4 sons, all grew up clean, no problems, and 1 daughter. And then that's when I started going to the Revere Senior Center. And I guess my wife was an angel because she hooked me up with who I'm going with now.
Ted, I got to tell you, I want to thank you for the fabulous job you did on giving us a history of the
Hope I
market
can help
basket.
you out.
Thank you for coming on the show. God bless you, Ted.
Thank you.
Okay. God bless our troops and all the people in our armed forces, the people of Revere, but most of all, God bless our great country, the United States of America. And one more time, Ted, I have to say this. I salute you as a Korean vet. Thank you for coming on the show. And may you live a healthy, long life, too. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Until the next show, folks, I hope we have another great guest like that. So stay tuned into Revere TV 8. If you have any ideas, reveretv.org. Email us in. Let us know what you like to talk about, what you like to see, or even come on the show yourself. We'd love to have you. And thank you.
Thank you.